All right, all right, all right. Hold on. Let me just make sure that everyone can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Y'all, everyone put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, awesome. All right, y'all, welcome to our money and astrology conversation. First, I have to do a awesome introduction. So, first one, we are going to be summoning fire and star power, and I need y'all to get ready and get present and get open because we're about to receive. It's not just casual, okay? It's an encoded artillery specifically to look in the divine wealth revolution. It is my absolute honor to introduce one of the most powerful astrologers that I know when it comes down to looking at astrology from a different perspective. For me, Sate is more than just an astrologer. He is a damn seer. He just understands the sky secrets and how quickly he's able to kind of understand and pick up on things is powerful. Um, he's the kind of astrologer who, doesn't like tiptoe around your destiny. He walks into the house of your natal chart like a damn soldier returning home. Okay. He looks through just things from a different perspective. And I really appreciate him because, at one point I did not have, this I didn't have like the strength in astrology that I did because I didn't understand astrology. I'm more so of a planetary worker. And the fact that like one time I just came into your spaces and came through, and the way you just broke things down so easily for me, and I was able to. I remember when you once told me when you talked about my money being in Venus, and you kind of broke down my second house, and you broke down different types of things and where I should be going and how I should be maneuvering, and I was like super impressed, and I said I have to get him on board and listen and have people connect with him and book readings with him because the way you mark out things is not like any other astrologer. So I just want to say I thank you for having this conversation. I thank you for coming on board and I thank you for what you do. Before I ask any questions, I want you to like to introduce yourself to the crowd so we can go from there and I'll get directly into the questions. Can you hear me, Saint? I think that you're on mute. I cannot hear you. You have to like take off the mute button. No, for some reason I can't hear you. You want to just kind of leave and come back and see how that works out? Oh, you got some people who already know what you got going on. Just try to leave out and come back and see what happens.
How you doing? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you great now. What's up, Saint? Hello, can you hear me? You sound good. I can hear you fine. I don't know what's going on.
No.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think my mic is working, but I can't seem to hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for coming through, bro. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you.
All right, you have the floor. Just introduce yourself so I can get right into the questions.
Absolutely. So my name is Saint Center, also known as Santa Casino Quest. I use astrology to make coordinated actions against the astrological transits. I've won hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars using astrological transits with high limit gambling, scaled up real estate, and basically live life by design. I have over 25 years of experience, and what can I say? I'm just a natural born occultist. I love it. I love how, you can implement and execute the astrological transits to design the life you want. A lot of people, they're into the whole law of attraction and things of that nature. But for me, astrology is more tangible. We can actually see the planets in the skies, and there's a lot of data on astrology. It's one of the oldest occult sciences, and it's studied by millions and millions and millions of people.
All right, I'll start with how did you get into astrology?
So when I was in high school, I was actually a victim of a black magic love spell. And the way that works is, when you have a thought that pops in your head that is not your thought. So that kind of led me into the whole occult metaphysical. I first started with planetary magic. And yeah, after that, it's just never stopped.
All right, since we're going to be talking about money, I specifically want to first start by asking where in your natal chart um, are people like born into economic warfare? Like what houses or aspects like kind of show inherited financial struggles, scarcity, or karmic patterns, poverty patterns? What planets are asking you to kind of fight your way out of spiritual debt when it comes down to finances?
So we have malefic planets, usually the outer planets. Saturn. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry. I think my phone was acting up in the middle of the rain. Um, yeah, so we have malefic planets, Saturn, Neptune. Jupiter can be perceived as malefic, but it's generally considered benevolent. Pluto, Uranus, and of course Neptune. Due to the delusion and deception, you want to look at the second, eighth house access and the rulerships of those houses, making malefic aspects to your inner planets. Anytime you see an outer planet making malefic aspects to the inner planets, it's going to affect your financial predisposition and inclination, because when you have these activation centers, these planetary alignments are considered activation centers, very much like the chakras. You might have a money blockage if you're born with Saturn in the second house on your natal chart, opposing Venus. Venus is the love planet. It's the planet of money, ruled by Taurus and Libra. It's how we relate. Is ruled by the Greek mythology, Aphrodite, of course. So it's also our love language. Understand? So if you have Saturn opposing Venus, Saturn second house opposing Venus, the eighth house, natal, you're gonna have a money block. You're not gonna feel like you're good enough. Then we have these asteroids such as Chiron. You have Chiron in the second house, you're not gonna feel like you're good enough. When you have money, you're gonna feel like you're guilty. You're not worth having that amount of money. So you're gonna feel guilty that even if you do reach a level of success, you're still gonna operate from a predisposition of lack in abundance. And you're going to operate in such a way that's going to affect your outer world. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the malefics if you have these money blockages. And each outer planet actually has their own vibrational frequency signature. So what do I mean by that? Neptune is responsible for deception and delusion. If you have Neptune in the second house, for example, or Neptune in the eighth, you could be scammed. If you have Uranus, is responsible for disruption. You have Uranus in the second or eighth, money can come and go suddenly, disruptly, abruptly. If you have Saturn in the second or the eighth, money can be taken away from you. You can have debts, you can inherit debts as well, and you might feel like you're not good enough. All your possessions might end up breaking down and things of that nature. Saturn's a planet of karma, wants to teach you the importance of finance and personal possessions. If you have the planet Jupiter, even though Jupiter is considered benevolent, it can also be malefic because Jupiter likes to expand. You have Jupiter in the second house. You might spend to the point where you don't have nothing. And when you spend to the point that you don't have nothing, then it becomes a problem because now you're, instead of being abundant, you're overly optimistic. And that's the planetary vibrational frequency of Jupiter. Makes you overly optimistic. You think that you're always going to have a flow of money, 24/7. When in reality, you should be more calculated, more strategic with your money instead of spending. Pluto, I forgot to mention Pluto earlier, I believe. Pluto is, is transformation to crisis. You have Pluto in the eighth, does very well in the eighth house because it's rulership. It's ruled by Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. If you have Pluto in the second house, a lot of things that you own or possess might be taken away from you, might break down, but you have the power of reconstructing, rebuilding. Its planetary vibrational frequency of Pluto is transformation to crisis. So you might, a lot of times people, either when they have Pluto transiting the fourth house or the second house, they might go through a bit of a chaotic crisis situation where they might lose their house or they might lose their possessions. Their car might get repossessed and things of that nature.
All right. So my next question, thanks for answering first. My next question would be, what planet in your chart is your financial general? And like, is it Mars, which is your warrior? Is it Saturn, which is your disciplinarian? Is it your Venus, which is your magnet? Is it Jupiter, which is your abundance? Like what? And also, what strategy does your general want to implement?
So the general would be Saturn. That's how you're gonna, approach your discipline and structure. The reason why I say that, because even though Saturn in the second house is considered malefic, there's a lot of millionaires with Saturn in the second house because they're very disciplined. If you learn how to tap into the higher vibrational frequency of that planet. So with Saturn in the second house, I say Saturn's a general. Mars is definitely the soldier. So someone with Saturn in the second, Mars in the eighth, then you have a Saturn opposite Mars. You'll be disciplined. This is why Capricorn, Mars is an exaltation. Then you'll definitely be more disciplined, structured when it comes to dealing with your finances. And now you asked the soldier, right?
I asked about the soldier.
What was that?
Yeah, I asked about the soldier.
The soldier is definitely Mars. So if you have, Mars in the 12th house where it's not operating very well, or even Mars in the second house, which doesn't really do very good because Mars in the second house is going to operate like Mars in Taurus, which is opposite of Mars in Scorpio in rulership, then you're going to be spending lavishly. You need to have self-discipline, self-control when it comes to your finances. And we can see that in your astrological natal chart.
You know what's so funny? I've been conditioned to just like really look at just Jupiter, Venus, and just those two planets to really kind of look at finances. And it's funny because you're starting to mention different planets that I never think that will be connected to my finances and things that I should look into. So
yeah, the thing about Jupiter. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The thing about Jupiter is that it's literally is your luck and your fortune. So Jupiter, depending on the house placement, of course, but you can have, let's say, Jupiter in the second house, money's just gonna flow to you easily. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people are not tapping into those Jupiter energies because The energies are just flowing easily, depending on the aspects, of course.
Mm. So, what house kind of rules your money battlefield, and what kind of condition? Like, can you just like break down like and just give certain examples of like a good connection between like the different types of houses? Well, first break down the houses of money and what they mean, and like what you should be looking for and examples of certain houses in certain positions.
So I personally like to look at the 2nd, 8th, 10th, 6th, and 11th house. And the reason for that is because the second house is your personal finances, the money you have, you possess, your personal possessions, your assets, and your net worth, because the second house is also the house of self-esteem, ruled by Taurus. That's why it's ruled by Venus. 6th house is your house of work, day-to-day routines, your job. Of course, your occupation is going to affect how much money you have on your second house. So if I see any malefic aspects or any low vibrational planets and things of that nature in that house, is going to affect your financial stability. 10th house is the house of your personal career, your professional destiny. Of course, that's a very important house because that's the house of your professional destiny. So if I see a slow moving planet like Saturn, even though 10th house is ruled by Capricorn, if you have Saturn the 10th opposing Venus in the 4th, or even squaring off Venus, then you're going to be a slow growth individual. It's going to take you a long time to succeed. 11th house is the house of gains, network, and ruled by Aquarius, and desires, the house of wishes. So if you have, very good aspects, very good placements in that 11th house, is going to affect your second house. All these houses, they're going to affect how much, money you can accumulate and your assets and your possessions.
Got it. I never even thought about, the 11th house. I've always been taught that it's the 2nd, 8th, and 10th house. Wow, that's crazy. So my next question is going to be, where, when we read charts, like who's usually, who's usually like financially passive, and usually people who have hard times for going to war, for their finances in their chart, and what are some things that they can do to kind of break through those things? Like, just give me some examples, of like some people who have problems, with their planets or their houses, and what are some of the things that they can do to kind of offset that?
So the beautiful thing about astrology is that, your astrological natal chart is basically the positioning of the planets upon the time of your birth, based on your geographic location. So in terms of like laziness or people that are not operating at a higher vibrational frequency, or they have money blockages, Neptune, Saturn in the 2nd, Neptune, Saturn, even Pluto in the 2nd, Neptune, Saturn in the 6th house, Mars retrograde in the 8th house, Saturn in the 10th, squaring off Mars. Definitely Pluto in the 10th house. Now, with Pluto in the 10th house, it could be good or bad depending on your Mars placement. But the reason why I say Neptune is because Neptune is the planet of depletion, depletes the vitality. The sun is exalted in Aries, and Aries in astrology, fire is considered the strongest element. It's the law of polarity. You have strong, you have weak. So the fire element is the planet of action. This is why fire signs are considered the most powerful, as opposed to air sign. Air signs considered the weakest because it's opposite of fire. Now, Leo is opposite of Aquarius. Leo, the sun in Leo is in rulership, and the sun in Aquarius is in detriment. The reason for that is because when you have a lot of air modality, air element in your astrological natal chart in the money houses, for example, let's say you can have Neptune in Libra. This is just an example. Neptune in Libra, or Saturn in Aquarius in the 2nd house, on the 8th house. Air is about ideas, fire is about action. So when we're talking about financial blockages, In order for you to increase your finance, you have to take action. You have to be proactive. So air is about ideas, fire is about action. Now, if you have Mars and Leo in the eighth house, that's going to operate a little better because it's a fire modality. It's a fire element. So the thing about what I was, stating earlier, that when you're born is based on your based on position of the planets, based on your astrological natal chart. The position of the planet is based on your time of birth. If you simply move over 150 miles, 200 miles away from your geographic place of birth, those planets shift, they change. So if you have Neptune in the second house and you're feeling weak and you're feeling lethargic and you don't want to go out there and get the money, you can simply move and place that Neptune in your third house, and you're going to place another favorable planet. Let's say we have Jupiter in the first, Neptune the second. Let's say you're born in the northeast. This is just an example. Now you move all the way down to southwest. That's going to put Neptune in your third house and Jupiter in your second house.
Wait, are you saying that you can maneuver throughout different planets?
Yes.
Like move planets in different houses?
Yes.
Shit, how you do that? I heard about it before, but I never I always thought it was a what does he call it, like a mystery or something, or people just saying things. How do you move planets to different houses?
So it's based on your astrocartography chart. So you definitely need your time of birth as is on the birth certificate. We can't use the sunrise chart. Well, we could use the sunrise chart, but we can only see the outer planets, not the inner planets. The inner planets move faster than the outer planets. So with that being said, because it's based on your astrological natal chart is basically based on your time of birth, the positioning of planets. So if you move to a different location, those planetary positioning are going to be different as opposed to your natal chart. It's the same thing with numerology. That's why you see a lot of actors and actresses and rappers, they change their names because they want to be more marketable. It's literally the same thing. They're just tapping to that vibrational frequency.
That is so damn crazy. You know what's so funny? I'm gonna so I'll ask you this, and because there's a lot of us, they be trying to rip away times of birth and things. Well, let's say a person doesn't have their date of birth. How can they go about finding that if it's not in their birth certificate?
Well, we can do chart rectification. You don't know your time of birth, but you can also call the place where you was born the central birthing, the centralization of the central birthing station. So over here will be the hospital. You're born in the hospital, call the hospital. And you can actually request your birth certificate, and it only costs like $25. They'll give you a birth certificate with your time of birth.
Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. My other question is, where do we see the not the astrological, but the ancestral and generational vows that come through a poverty? Because I do a lot of, energy work when it comes down to, kind of pulling out poverty curses and generational curses. So when it comes down to money, where can you kind of see those things in the chart?
So we can see the 12th house. I'll give you a perfect example. So let's say somebody's Scorpio rising. And in evolutionary astrology, the 12th house is the house of past lives and your karma as well. So if you're Scorpio rising, you're going to have Libra in the 12th house. So with Libra in the 12th house, and based on evolutionary astrology, this literally tells me that in past lives incarnation, you died, you had a tragic death with your romantic partner, you lived lavishly, and you, in this incarnation, you fear living lavishly, you fear living in luxury, you fear exploring that, because the 12th house is the house of the unhidden. It's the house of the unconscious. You got the conscious, subconscious, and conscious. So it's the house of the unconscious. You're not even aware of the 12th house. And with Libra in the 12th house, you suffered greatly based on your lavish lifestyle. People were jealous of you. They try to, they even plotted your murder, and you died with your romantic partner. That in this life incarnation, you feel guilty of even exploring that in this incarnation. So the ancestral, karma and poverty lineage actually has a lot to do with your 12th house and malefic planets in the 8th house, because according to evolution of astrology, all outer planets, they dish out their karma in their own way.
Good take. Good take. Okay, so before I get into the questions in the chat, I have a few more. So where does your chart show your hidden wealth, hidden wealth, and what demons are like kind of guarding that, so that you kind of don't come? Like, I want to know like what and how to like really kind of see that from a different perspective, so that people can kind of like unlock some of that hidden wealth.
There's plenty of wealth asteroids. There's Abundancia. And I'm going to tell you a crazy story about this. I thought gambling was a scam. I thought gambling was for degenerates. Every time I see the news, all I hear is about degenerate gamblers losing their entire life savings to the casinos. Until I realized I have asteroid Abundancia in the 5th house, which is the house of speculative gains. So asteroid Abundancia is your asteroid of wealth. Now, when we look at the aspect of the asteroid, so let's say, for example, you have asteroid Abundancia, but it's opposing Pluto in the 11th. Now, position is a 180-degree axis. Each house divided by 30 degrees. So if we look at the opposition, that basically tells me that your friends, because the 11th house is the house of, groups, organization, and your friends and your network. Your friends are not really your friends, and they're trying to stop you from reaching your abundance, because Pluto in the 11th was Pluto. Control is fixed, is ruled by Hades, the god of the underworld. So when you have a malefic aspect to a malefic planet to your asteroid, then that basically tells me your groups and organization, your friends, are trying to stop you from reaching your full potential.
Interesting. That's thank you for explaining that and breaking that down. So, what planet or placement in your chart you would say is demanding you kind of burn something down so that you can build your financial empire?
Definitely Mars. Definitely Mars. If you have Mars conjunct Pluto in the 2nd house, if you have Jupiter in the 8th, will definitely provide some level of protection from you getting scammed, or you getting, blocked from outside forces, outside influences. And definitely these, you're definitely going to want the fighting planets, just like Mars, even the sun. The sun is a luminary. That's why I don't really include it as much when it comes to the outer planets. But when I say included as much, I'm talking about specifically for your questions. But if you have Sun conjunct Pluto, that can bring power struggles to you in the 2nd house. Sun, Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter will be the planets that you can fight.
Oh, interesting. Got it. All right. So I'll ask you two more, and then I'll go to the questions in the chat. So how does your natal chart define like your wealth, and like specifically like break that down for me again? Like, what if somebody, like, how can somebody just use their natal chart just directly for certain things, like luxury, for spiritual wealth, for communal wealth, for legacy? Like, how does that work down?
That's a very good question. So like I mentioned earlier, I never gambled. I thought gambling was for degenerates. I thought people that would go to the casino that gambles will lose their life. And I thought casinos was a scam. So when I found out that I have Abundancia in the 5th house, Mind you, I have ruler of my second house in the fifth, because rulerships are very important. Ruler of the second house in the fifth house conjuncting the sun. So I have Gemini in the second house, with ruler of that's Mercury in the fifth house, the house of speculative gains, conjuncting the sun, opposing Jupiter in Pisces in the 11th house is expanding. Therefore, a lot of my financial wealth actually came from gambling, and I just dumped it into real estate. So you see how that works? Now, gambling is not for everybody. It's literally in your chart. Just because I'm successful at gambling is because my astrological natal chart dictates that. The ruler, the second house is your possessions, your finances. Fifth house is the house of speculative gains. Jupiter is the house of expansion. Is making a direct opposition to the 11th house. Mercury is your thought process. I have Mercury in exaltation in Virgo. It's just conjuncting the sun. It's conjuncting luminary, so it's lighting it up. So you're definitely going to want to see the rulerships in your specific natal chart, the rulerships of your second and eighth house, 10th house, sixth house, and 11th house access, and also the aspects to any of the planetary planets that has to do with money, such as Venus, Jupiter, even the sun, the moon in some instance.
Yeah, this gets real complex. I'm glad that you came aboard. Okay, so what places in your natal chart keeps people in the cycles of poverty?
That's also a very good question. And you definitely have to watch out for planets like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, and Saturn. If you're not aware, especially most people are not aware about their astrological natal chart. But let's say if you're aware that you have Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, in any of the money houses or houses that I mentioned that has to do with your personal finances. But you refuse, because let's say you have Mercury in Scorpio, which is fixed, it's stubborn. Fixed signs are, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo. And you refuse to move because you're comfortable, but you're not making money, but you want to be around family. Like, you're going to deal with the same, cycle of poverty over and over and over again because you refuse to, like, get out. And I know we all know these type of people that, the second they move, their entire fortune changes. It's like a 360. It's like overnight. They become super successful.
I moved from New York, and then I moved to New Orleans, and everything just kind of expanded for me and opened up where I didn't have these issues. And I was doing good at the beginning, but maybe there was an energy shift. But go ahead.
Exactly my point. So a lot of people, if they're fixed, they don't want to move. They scared to do that transition. You can also see that in your natal chart. You got Mars retrograde, Mars in the 12th, Mars squaring Saturn. They're scared of making that transition, but that's for the best, because where you're born at, and if you're not happy with your results, you keep doing the same thing, you're gonna get the same results.
Got it. All right. So my last question for me specifically is, what would it look like if we kind of like wanted to like use our chart, specifically to kind of build, like, let's say that we're like totally screwed and we just wanted to stop everything that we had and just really kind of dissect, our spiritual science, which is our natal chart, and really kind of rebuild from scratch. Like, what areas will we look at for beginners? Oh, hold on, y'all. He dropped out. He'll probably be back in a minute. Hey. Hold on, he'll probably be back. Let me see. Can you guys hear me? Maybe it's me. All right.
Can you
Hey,
hear me?
yep, I can hear you. You sound good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't seem to hear you.
No, I hear you. You sound good.
Oh, I hear you now. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Do you want me to repeat the question?
What
You
was
want me to
that?
repeat the question?
You said something?
Yeah, I said, do you want me to repeat the question? Because I think that you cut
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Can you repeat the
Okay.
question?
So if you wanted to start over, like if you're going through a mother shit show, okay, and you're new to astrology and you really kind of want to start, improving the cycles and get out of whatever you had going on, what where would you start to look in your natal chart?
So first, you have to learn. You said you're new to astrology.
Yeah, if you're new to astrology.
First, you would have to familiarize yourself with the 12 houses, the 12 planets, the 12 zodiac signs, the modalities, the Greek mythology, um, behind the meanings of the houses and the planets. Now, a lot of people are not, they don't have that inclination, to understand the intricacy of the natal chart, but definitely, uh, if you're struggling to understand your astrological natal chart, absolutely book an astrology reading with any astrologer. Just make sure you vet the astrologer and make sure that the person that you're getting a reading with is competent enough to understand the transits, because there's a lot of astrologers out there that, quite frankly, yeah, their heads is in the clouds and their foot is not grounded. So they need to practice grounding. You understand what I'm saying? Like they just want to live in a cave and study the stars and disregard the day-to-day routines. But definitely understand, try your best to understand your astrological natal chart. That's step one. Once you understand your astrological natal chart, then actually try planetary magic, try intent to, you know, manipulate energy through intention. That's what magic is. So with astrology, we have astrological transits. So if you have an upcoming transit, let's say Venus transit in your second house, then that's where you should scale up either your business practices or, partnering up with people or things of that nature, or trying to get that job to increase your personal finances. And that's what alchemy is. That's what astrology is. As above, so below. Is to take coordinated actions against the astrological transits. It's not just, studying the transits and then not doing anything. You have to study the transit because the planets are proactive. The planets are in constant motion. They're proactive. And it's up to us to be reactive to the planetary energies that affects us on a day-to-day basis. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you now. So I want to ask some questions from the chat. So I'll start with the first question. My good sis says, what if you have several planets in the same house, such as a Pluto, Jupiter, and Uranus in the second house?
In terms of finances, those are powerful planets, malefic planets, but when you have a stellium, which is three planets or more in the same house, then that dominates your chart. So it's going to operate as all your attention and energy will most likely go to achieving that goal, which is the second house. The second house doesn't always mean money, but also mean your self worth. Now, Uranus is a disruptive planet. Pluto is a very destructive planet. It's powered through transformation and crisis. So, even though these are two planets are fixed, this is why Pluto and Aquarius is an exaltation, and Uranus and Scorpio is an exaltation. It's the only two zodiac signs that have planets in exaltation that are mutual reception, because fixed signs of the same modality squares each other off. Like Scorpio squares off Aquarius, and Aquarius squares off um, Leo, but it also opposes Leo. So very important for you to, be structured, be disciplined, and take a structured approach to your finances and personal assets, and also well-being. Because with these planets in your second house, um, it could go a little crazy. It could go a little crazy with your self-esteem, your self-worth. You understand what I'm saying? So if you feel bad because you don't have money, that can affect your health as well.
My next, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, okay. So another question that I see in the chat was, I am a Leo rising with a Jupiter. Y'all, child, this is some messy stuff here. I don't know what's going on. Mercury's trying to get us. Mercury is trying to get us. Oh, he'll be back in a minute. Mercury and Beyonce is trying to get us, because I've been knocked out of this damn thing for so many times. I'm going to try to get to everyone's questions. I'll be back in a minute.
Can you guys hear me?
I could definitely hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mercury's going retrograde July 18th. Crazy.
It's so annoying. All right, so I also, because I know you're being modest, y'all, I don't trust a lot of astrologers. I'm going to be honest, I don't trust astrologers at all, but Saint and a few other astrologers who are occultists too, I've changed my life. So I know that, I know that he's telling you how to go, book with other people and get an astrologer, but I put his link in the chat so that you can specifically have a conversation with him about money. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, our conversation about money was definitely life-changing. The next question was, I am a Leo rising with a Jupiter Leo 12th house, but it was in retrograde.
Okay, so you're a Leo rising with Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house?
Yes, that's what she said.
Okay. So, I mean, Jupiter retrograde, Jupiter is mostly retrograde throughout the year. Now, with the Leo rising, now Pluto's in your seventh house. So be careful with intense connections. Probably exes trying to spin the block, try to come back to your life. You're gonna feel strong attraction to scorpionic energies, either sun, rising, or moon, or any individual with strong Plutonian energies or vibrational frequencies that operates like a scorpion, because that Pluto in Aquarius is an exaltation, but it's transiting your seventh house, opposing your first house, which is Jupiter in the 12th, to give you a bit of a protection from malefic individuals trying to, do harm to you. However, make sure that you pay attention to your intuition, because a lot of your solutions to your life problems, that Jupiter in the 12th house, it's going to come through dreams and premonitions. It's a very psychic planet, because in traditional astrology, Jupiter actually rules Pisces. In modern astrology, Neptune rules Pisces. And Jupiter in traditional astrology, Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces.
The next question is, I have Pluto in the 11th. What does that mean?
Pluto in the 11th house. So, Pluto is transformation, it's force initiation, transformation to crisis. It's, considered the most, Scorpio is considered, in astrology, it's considered the most powerful sign because it's ruled by four animals. Now, with Pluto in the 11th house, you really have to watch out for your associations and friends. Sometimes your friends can go against you just due to jealousy and envy, because Pluto rules the eighth house. Eighth house is the house of vindication, the house of vengeance, revenge. Pluto, Hades. It's fixed war modality. And this is why in traditional astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Mars and co-ruled by Pluto. So watch out for your associations. I wouldn't tell people your plans or your business, especially your groups of friends and organizations and things of that nature, amongst organizations or friends. And just be very careful with who you trust your business to, because with this aspect, your friends can go around, start drama, and basically start crisis and form some type of crisis or drama, just because they don't want you to leave them, or because it's fixed. Pluto is fixed, so they don't want you to, you know, leave and leave them behind or whatever. They want you to stay where you're at so you could be with them and do whatever it is that you guys are doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely. The next question says, I have Pluto in the 10th house.
With Pluto in the 10th, this can make you very domineering when it comes to trying to achieve status and cut corners too. So depending on the aspects of the transits that can activate the house, of course. But with Pluto in the 10th, your father was probably somebody of a high status nature. If not, he was probably gone early in your life, because Pluto is also death. But um, you can actually acquire status and achieve status through your father, because the 10th house is the father, the fourth house is the mother. Pluto's a masculine planet, so we usually see this from the father in the 10th house. Now, be very careful, because it's, Pluto in the 10th house tells me the story of David and Goliath. You can easily piss off businesses and infrastructures and governmental agencies to the point where they just want to bury you. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful with how you maneuver. Don't cut corners, because you will get caught, especially with Pluto in the 10th. Your secrets in the closets are going to be exposed in the public. Um, Operate with integrity, because Pluto in evolution of astrology is also your karma, as opposed to Saturn. So definitely operate with integrity and don't cut corners. And you should look into your father or grandfather, whoever raised you, in terms of male masculine archetype. Look into their background, because a lot of times what I see a lot of inheritances. I see a lot of people gaining status through their father, gaining fame and notoriety through their father or father figure with Pluto in the 10th house.
Got it. So somebody also asks, so I have Pluto in my 10th house, Sagittarius. Yeah, I have Cancer in my 6th house. How does this affect my legacy and my career power? Does this mean I will change careers eventually?
So with Pluto Sagittarius in the 10th house, very important that you actually take travels very seriously and take a global scale because Jupiter likes to expand. So it's going to operate similarly to Pluto conjunct Jupiter in the 10th house. I don't know what you do for a living, but definitely uh, if you are on a public domain or public stage, public arena, you should definitely target international customers or an international fan base because that Pluto Sagittarius is going to expand you and exalt you on an international global scale. You should also be good at languages and things of that nature. Now, with Cancer in the 6th house, definitely your work should definitely be correlated to some type of, you know, healthcare, health system, nursery, even with pets. Because Cancer, you know, is ruled by the moon. The moon loves pets, especially cats. This is why cats were worshipped in ancient Egypt. They were worshipped in ancient Egypt. So, cats. So, with Pluto in the 10th and Sagittarius and Cancer in the 6th, you really have to step it up and put yourself out there. I know Pluto doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but you have to project your identity out there because it's still co-ruled by Mars. Mars likes to project themselves to the world, but on an international scale and something that actually helps people. Oh, that Mercury retrograde, ladies and gents. Uranus is the Gemini. Uranus transit Gemini on July 7th. Welcome back.
Thank you. This technology is kicking me out. All right.
Yeah.
So the next question is hold on, because I think I missed one. All right, we did that one. Okay, the next question is there a book that you recommend for reading on the signs?
For reading on astrology.
You sound like really low. I don't know if it's just me.
I found what?
Okay, you sound better now. Is there a book that you recommend for reading on astrology signs?
Hades Moon by Linda Goodman.
Got it. Say that again.
Hades Moon by Linda Goodman.
Got it. So for Leo rising planets and house indicate for a Leo rising planet and houses, does it indicate financial abundance and financial stagnation?
For Leo rising houses.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. So if you have Venus in Aquarius, Pluto should be conjuncting your Venus right now. If you're Leo rising, Pluto's on your 7th house. Now, it depends what degree your Leo rising is. If you're late degree Leo rising, that Pluto is going to be hitting your 8th house. So all depends on your degree of your rising sign. If you're Leo rising, that Pluto in the 8th, excellent for money. Excellent time for financial acquisition. Excellent time for asking banks for financial loans, increasing your credit score. That's where Pluto belongs. And if you have, if you're late degree Leo rising and you have that Pluto in your 8th house, then you should definitely do money magic because 8th house is the house of your cult. Pluto is the planet that rules Scorpio. And Pluto right now is an exaltation in Aquarius. So absolutely it depends on the degrees of your rising sign.
All right. How long do I have you for?
What was that?
How long do I have you for?
We could continue.
Okay. So and y'all, that's it for the questions in the chat. I'm gonna take the ones that we have and then we'll be done with that. Somebody asked in the chat, what are the money houses and what do they mean?
So the money houses are second and eighth. However, we want to look at the rulerships. Now, when we look at how it affects your money, we look at the 6th, 10th, and 11th. Second house is personal finances. Sixth house is the house of your day to day routine. You're basically your job, the house of work. Eighth house is the house of other people's money, shared resources, banks, financial institutions, including loans and credit system, things of that nature, and inheritances, and marriage, joint resources. Especially if you go to business with other people, that's your eighth house. 10th house.
Y'all, they are screwing us up with these damn with Mercury retrograde. This is not good to me. During an astrology class, ooh. Y'all, I suggest y'all also while he comes back, I suggest y'all save the link and kind of save up and really book your full own breakdown and specifically tell him that you really want to know about money. He's really good when it comes down to readings. He likes you ask questions and all that other stuff. So I put his link in the chat. Make sure that because it's hard to come by good spiritual people that really want to help and support people. So you probably want to kind of get that going. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think I was on the 10th house. 10th house is the house of career, public destiny. The 11th house is the house of wishes, desires, and fulfillment of how you fulfill those desires, groups and organizations, which all houses are going to affect your second house. All those houses are going to affect your second house, your money house.
Okay, the next question. I have Jupiter and Chiron in my second house. Can you explain what that means as for finances?
Absolutely. So Jupiter in the second house does very well. I definitely want to see Jupiter in the second or eighth or even 11th when it comes to finances. The Chiron there can lead you some type of, what's Chiron? Chiron's the wounded healer.
You sound a little bit low.
Chiron is the wounded healer, the teacher. So Chiron there can make you into some type of money teacher. Basically, what you're doing now, you're, curating the space and basically teaching people, bringing teachers in to teach people about finances and self-esteem.
Got it. Very strategic. All right. Next question. I have Libra in the 10th house and Mars in Aquarius in the second house. Does this mean I'll make most of my money through partnerships, or will they hinder my ability to acquire money?
No, you actually make most of your money through partnerships. So being social, which is Libra, the most social sign, which is because it rules the seventh house, and it's ruled by Venus, is air. Air is considered masculine modality because it's extrovert in astrology. So definitely you'll make the most money with other people through partnerships, and you actually gain more status through other people as well.
I have Pisces in the second house, Saturn retrograde in Aries, also in the second house. How does it affect my money or increase my money?
Saturn. So the thing about Saturn is gonna delay but not necessarily restrict. Saturn rules government agencies. Old money, slow and steady wins the race. So Saturn, the second house. Based on the charts that I've seen, I've done this for over 25 years. Based on the charts that I've seen, a lot of people with Saturn in the second house, they get into real estate. And I suggest you get into real estate. Old money, slow money, slow and boring. No crypto, any stocks, or no gambling, no trying to take big risks to make a lot of money, no playing the lottery, none of that. You stick to old, proven real estate, old, proven methods of making money with Saturn in the second house, such as Section 8 renting, taking a loan from the bank, fixing up a house, things of that nature, making group homes, helping society because Was the 10th house. 10th house ruled by Capricorn. 10th house is society, the public. So it's definitely old money.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see, what else did I miss out on? I think there. Okay, so what do you consider a stellium? All in the same sign, or all inner planets?
What was that?
What? Sorry. What do you consider? Hold on, that's loading. What do you consider a stellium? All the same sign, all inner planets? Question mark.
That's a good question, actually. So all the same signs, not all the planets. Are we talking about the same planets in one house, or are we talking about different planets in one house?
I think that she was saying, she said, do you consider a stellium? What do you consider a stellium? Basically questioning, it was all in the same sign, question mark, or all inner planets, question mark.
Right, because you can have Venus, Moon, Pluto, and Scorpio in the same house, and that's a stellium.
Got it, got it, got it. All right, so the next question, I have Pluto in Scorpion, in the sixth house, ruled by Scorpio. I've had chronic health problems for decades.
Okay, so with Pluto in the sixth is a very powerful placement. I know because I have that same placement. So the only reason why you're getting sick is either because you're depressed or you're going through some type of day-to-day stress. If you don't feel mentally well, it's going to affect your physical body. Now, the benefit of having Pluto in the sixth is that we have the power of recovery. We can recover very quickly from an illness, but you have to keep your mind and body aligned. You understand what I'm saying? You got to remain grounded and rooted onto the earth. Because if you're depressed, if you're stressed, if you're angry, it's going to affect your health. And that's what Pluto likes to do. It's the power, is the planet of power and regeneration.
I think we only have like three more questions in here. Hold on, because it's like, all right. So it was, the next question was, I have no. Can you hear me? Hello.
What was that? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The next question was, I have no planets in the second house, third house, seventh, or 12th house. What does that mean in terms of finances and my progression for my spiritual growth?
So you're gonna want to look at the rulerships. There's no such thing as an empty house because if we look at the rulership, so I'm gonna give an example. So I'm Taurus rising. I have Gemini in the second house. I have an empty second house as well. But the ruling planet of my second house is Mercury, and that's located in the fifth house, which is conjuncting the sun. So it's going to operate like if I had Sun and Mercury in the second house, because the ruler of my second house, which is Mercury, which rules Gemini, is in the fifth house, which is conjuncting the sun, opposing Jupiter.
Got it. All right. So next question. I have Gemini in the sixth house, Leo in the eighth house, and Venus, Pisces in the second house. How can I best utilize this energy to acquire money and career?
So with Leo in the eighth, definitely it's the luminary, so it's ruled by the sun. And if you have Venus in the second house, definitely through partnerships. Already Leo in the eighth is joint resources. Venus in the second is going to operate as ruler of the seventh in the second house. Anything that has to do with beauty, uh, anything that has to do with the occult, anything that has to do with the arts in partnership, in conjunction with other people, maybe a credit repair business type model, maybe some type of tarot reading, psychic reading type of business model, but with other people. You understand what I'm saying? Don't do it alone.
Got it. What does Saturn and Neptune in the first house, Capricorn, Neptune in the 12th house, also Capricorn and Jupiter in the fifth mean in the terms of finances?
So with Jupiter in the fifth house, it's a very good placement when it comes to gambling. Now you have a lot of planets situated. First of all, you have one of the most powerful planets that belongs in the 12th house, which is Neptune. In the 12th house, I believe they said Neptune to 12, right?
Neptune in the 12th house, yes.
So with Neptune in the 12th and Jupiter in the 5th, you should definitely gamble based on your intuition. Just play a little small lottery ticket. You don't gotta go crazy. You don't gotta try to win uh the grand jackpot. Go to the casino with like $20 and listen to your intuition, because Jupiter is the planet of abundance and expansion. It's in the fifth house of speculative gains. 12th house, Neptune the 12th is the house of your intuitive gains as well. Neptune rules Pisces, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter in the fifth is in the fire house. The sun rules the fifth house because the fifth house is ruled by Leo. It's the only zodiac sign that's ruled by the sun. So definitely try to. It don't even have to be gambling, as a matter of fact. It could be any type of speculative gains activity, whether it's crypto, mini stocks, day trading, options trading, anything that has to do with speculation. And just listen to your intuition. And also do a little bit of money magic, because you'll be good at it.
Let's see. I have Aries in the second house, empty, ruled by Mars, 7 degrees, Cancer in the fifth house, Venus in the eighth house, 21 degrees Libra. What industry should I look into for business?
Well, first of all, with that Aries in the second house, you should definitely be an entrepreneur. Like anything that has to do with sales or marketing. Possibly build your own social media marketing agency, because you're projecting your identity. Aries, this is why the sun is it's exalted in Aries, because Aries is about I am. So it's about projecting your identity. Now, when you're doing social media marketing, you're projecting these brands' identity onto the public, onto the earth, onto the world, onto society. So you would definitely be good at that, because you'll be initiative in terms of that. I think this person said they got Venus in the eighth too, right?
Yeah, they have Venus in the eighth.
Yeah,
Yes.
with Venus in the eighth, Aries in the second. Venus in the eighth house is other people's joint resources and money and partnerships too. So absolutely, it's a house of business as well. So you have a lot of good aspects for projecting brand identities and going viral. You should definitely tackle that.
Got it. All right. So the last question is going to be, I have Jupiter, Sagittarius in the ninth house.
You said what?
I have Jupiter, Sagittarius in the ninth house.
Jupiter intercepted in the eighth house.
It says I have Jupiter / Sagittarius in the ninth house.
Excellent. That's rulership. That's rulership. Definitely take advantage of geographic arbitrage. You make a lot of money like that. Jupiter belongs in the ninth house because it's ruled by Sagittarius. The ninth house is ruled by Sagittarius. So get into geographic arbitrage. In case if you guys don't know what geographic arbitrage is basically when you go to another country where the dollar has a lot of power. I'm Dominican, so let's use Dominican Republic for example. $1 in Dominican Republic is 60 pesos. So I'll give you an example. This is exactly what I do as well. You go to Dominican Republic, you rent out an apartment, you furnish it. Renting out over there is cheap. You rent it out for like $300, $400 per month. You furnish it, you put it back on Airbnb. This is called Airbnb arbitrage. So you're subleasing the same apartment, and you're collecting in dollars because you're renting it out to tourists. With Jupiter in the ninth, this is your exact business model. I have Mars in the ninth, so I do this. It's very successful and it's passive. So you should definitely take advantage of the geographic arbitrage. Gold with the dollar has a lot of power. You can start businesses, and even buy up businesses because the dollar has a lot of power in these countries.
Got it. And that book was The Hades Moon by Judy Hall, right?
Yeah, Judy Hall.
I love Judy Hall. She's freaking dope. All right. Thank you so much, Saint. I appreciate you. I put your link in the chat so people can book a reading with you. Um, uh, uh, Basically to, learn more about their money. I really want to thank you for coming through. I know it's been like crazy since it's Mercury retrograde. Is there anything you want to leave with the people with how to start, and where they can find you at?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I just want to say thank you for having me. I appreciate this. And yeah, you guys can find me at Clubhouse. I run a Clubhouse club, which is called Rise of the Golden Dawn. We teach how to weaponize your astrological natal chart to design the life you want, to live the life you want, based on the transits, because it's very intricate. The planets never stop moving. And you guys can find me on Instagram too, Santa Casino Quest. You guys can see on my Instagram, I've won over $100,000. I document my gambling journeys, so you guys can see I'm not full of shit, and I practice what I preach. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And hopefully we can work together in the future. I'm definitely going to book my other reading with you. So I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye. All right, y'all. This was some good shit. This is why I fuck with Saint, because Saint, brings things from a different perspective. I never would have thought to look at different types of planets when it comes down to finances and when it comes down to other things. So I think it's important that everybody kind of get your reading, because like I said before, this is your spiritual science. This is shit that carries you in your everyday life. Like if you do not understand, astrology, get an astrologer to help you. Call the hospital, get your time of birth, really kind of get you a new birth certificate so that you can really kind of go to war for money using different angles. Y'all know that I'm in the planetary angle of things. I also do a lot of money magic. So, I would encourage y'all to get that done. Save up, and just really, if you can, I don't know if he does recordings or not, but really kind of get that done, because that's something that is going to help you forever and ever and ever and ever. And I try my hardest. I try my hardest specifically to be able to bring people on board that change my life. I don't just bring in anybody. So yes. Also, I'm going to do a bonus call for all of you guys. If you're interested, well, of course, if you're going to be interested, you're going to be here. If you're on a Dark Money Venus group, do not email me, because you're going to get the link. If you are joining this from another conversation, just send me an email and I'll send you the link for next week's conversation. I know a lot of people didn't know that it was going to be 2 conversations, but it is. So I am going to send you the link for the next one. Just send me an email. If you are in a Dark Money Venus group, do not email me at all. You will see a link. I appreciate all of you. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. This was good. I wasn't even expecting this, y'all. No shade. All right, enjoy. Have a good night, everybody. And happy Moon Day.